Well, from the First Methodist Church in Titusville, we have Reverend Tom Barnard joining us this morning. Good morning. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning, and it's wonderful to see you, Luke. We're great to be here.
Coming off another exciting weekend and Sunday. Boy, there's a lot going on at the church.
There is a lot going on internally and externally. We're doing a whole bunch of things. This coming Saturday, we're having the ribbon cutting grand opening of our new nursery just as an example. We've hired 2 nursery attendants to be on staff. Moved our nursery right up across from the sanctuary, so it's just really available to young mothers, and so we're excited about it. You know, just lots of new things happening there, and so that's going to be a celebration this Saturday. You have to have a celebration at least once a week. I mean, come on, you know.
And that's Saturday morning?
Saturday morning at 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So a lot of times when a new pastor comes in, there's, okay, well, these are things that we want to do, and, you know, you kind of make the list and you go through them, and you hope that you can accomplish them in 5 to 10 years. Not quite the case when you came in. There's, hey, we need to do this stuff, but we're going to do it now. How important was that to kind of set that tone and to kind of add that freshness to everything?
Great question, Luke. As you know, and as everybody knows, denominational churches, by and large, are failing. The people 50 and under have gone away from church. A lot of reasons for that. Basic reason is that the clergy didn't teach them, hasn't taught the Christian religion for about 5 or 6 decades. So they're diminishing, and they're diminishing in a hurry. You can look around Titusville and you can see the churches that are closed. It breaks my heart. And so what I have done for the last 25 years is I was with the United Methodist Church, one of a dozen or so pastors that went around the country and went into large churches that were failing and turned them around. And this past year I switched my clerical orders to the Global Methodist Church. And First United Methodist Church here went with the Global Methodist Church also, which is an Orthodox church, really believes what the United Methodist Church was supposed to believe, but the bishops weren't following it. So it really, as of the first of the year, 7,760 churches have left the United Methodist Church. Now, that's a lot of churches, and have formed the Global Methodist Church. So you've got, I'm sure today, going on 8,000 churches that are now a member of this new denomination. But when you come into a church that has thrived, like First Methodist did for generations, and they're now basically like everyone else, and they're diminishing, you can't come in with a 5 and 10 year plan, because you don't have 5 and 10 years.
That's a good point.
You have 1 to 3 years. And so that's the plan that I come in with a skill set that I have had over the years that I have used over the years in several churches around the country, and doing the same thing here and having a wonderful time. You know, and people are just absolutely delighted to see things change. They say people don't like change. Well, that's true. That's true. But good change, and change that has a vision, and change that is almost immediately making a difference, is exciting. And that's what we're doing. You know, you start at the start, which is a nursery, okay? And to do that, we had to do several other things to free up space, and we took the library out of that room and made an absolutely gorgeous library downstairs. You know, so a lot of things moved around, but a lot of new things also happening, and that's the almost the magic of bringing people back and getting people engaged and getting people excited about this thing that's been around for 2,300 years, about Christianity and what is Christianity, and then going about teaching that to everywhere from the 6th grade, well, all the way through the Sunday school, all the way up through 104 years old. So we've got a couple of 101-year-olds.
That's great.
So,
well, I think I heard in your announcements yesterday somebody celebrated a 90th or 95th birthday.
95th birthday, yeah. And We had a 101 celebration shortly after the first of the year, a 100th birthday during Christmas time, and it's just awesome. And these people are excited too. They're actually the people that are most excited because they want to see what they grew up with and what they were excited about as a youth, and how that of course the church was a socialization tool for the community for generations and generations, for hundreds of years, and they want to see that thrive again. And by jingles, we're going to make it happen.
I have to ask, you mentioned doing a lot of traveling and coming into churches that are struggling and getting them turned around. Is that difficult to not necessarily make that happen, but to have that influence, make those changes? You're seeing life come back in, and then it's like, okay, nice to know you, off to the next challenge. Is it hard to let go of that, or to say goodbye to people that you meet and get to know for several years at a time?
You got two questions there. Is it hard to do what I do? And number two, is it hard to leave after that's done? The answer is yes and yes. Now, yes, and coming in, it is difficult. I mean, if you go by the church, you'll see the light on in my office at 10, 11, 12 at night. I work 12 to 14 hours a day, 9 days a week. I worked on Christmas and Easter. Now, that's not I understand. That's not, I mean, Christmas and New Year's. That's not a good way to teach people to relax. But when you collapse, like you said, 7, 10 years into 3 years, you have to also do what's necessary to do that. And so, yes, it is hard. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see transformation. I mean, it's like watching a cocoon. And I remember in third grade we all did that. We set our jars in the window, and the cocoon came out. We watched the moth and the butterfly, and it was just awesome. And that's kind of the way it is. And
you experience that with all ages.
All ages. I mean, our youth group, our junior high youth group is growing. Every week we have a confirmation class of all high schoolers. COVID cut off a lot of things in every organization. And of course, it did the same thing in the church, and there hasn't been a confirmation class for a number of years. Well, we've got all the high school doing confirmation, and these young people are excited. I mean, they're excited to learn, number one, history, to learn about people that went before them, and to find out about what the religion is. And the second part of your question, is it hard to leave? Oh my gosh. Because we have collapsed that time frame of regeneration into 1 to 3 years, 1 to 4 years. You get to know people very quickly, very well, and you learn to love them. Or not to like them so much. Whatever the case may be. But by and large, you learn to love them and share their joys, share their sorrows of what the church has been and what it isn't anymore, and that's nobody's fault. That's just culture. That's just what's happened, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and so you get to know people very quickly, which is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So to leave that, it is heart-wrenching. It just is a really sad time in my life when I have to leave a congregation and go on. So, yeah, that's a very good question. I appreciate it. No, nobody's ever asked me that question before.
Oh, well, I'm always fascinated by that kind of stuff. So let's do this real quick. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel, here with the Reverend Tom Barnard from the First Methodist Church in Titusville. And there's a lot going on. We'll get to maybe the overview of the next few months here in just a moment. But it's always interesting because you mentioned people and their difficulties with change. But you start taking away some of those layers, and it could be as simple as what you're saying. Renovating a space, rejuvenating a space. Removing carpeting. I mean, these little things, and people go, "Oh, you know what? Underneath that horrible carpet is a beautiful floor." Well, you can also maybe apply religion to that, right? Underneath some of these layers, here's what's really important, and there's ways of I think again where people can see that and go, there's more to it than just this.
That'll preach. I mean, what you just said is a message in itself. Underneath as we layer ourselves, our psyche, all of the things that make up who we are. The same thing happens in a church. And as we uncover those and as we celebrate what's under those, or we say, whoa, that needs to be changed, we create a new perspective. We create a new reason for being different in who we are, or actually being who we always wanted to be. And then we go about learning how to do that. And it's that learning process, and it's that actually refinishing those beautiful, bird's eye maple floors rather than covering them up with a third layer of rugs and tiles. That people just go, wow, why would anybody do that? Same thing personally in our own lives. Why would we cover up the wonderful personalities that we were born with, that we had joy with when we were 5 years old, and all of a sudden they kind of got diminished and pushed inside? It's the same thing in the church as a building, and the church as a community, and to bring that out. And I told a group yesterday, we need to celebrate at least once a week. We need to have a celebration once a week. And celebrate something that's going on within the life of the community, whether it's the Titusville community, the greater Titusville community, or whether it's within the church or within a smaller group that has experienced something that needs this. We don't celebrate enough. We just don't celebrate enough, and therefore we end up with a lot of things that aren't so very good. Depression. Mm-hmm. The lack of the ability almost to even see forward, to see beyond your hands. You hold up your hands, and if you can't see through them, you aren't going to see what you need to see, and to celebrate what's out there, what's happened, what's going on. And so it's a great time. This spring. As an example, we're going to ask the whole community to celebrate with us. Okay, we're going to have a day, possibly a Sunday morning. We're going to invite all the churches and all of the community to come forward and to meet at probably 8 o'clock in the morning and go out and do projects all over the community. Rake leaves, put on take the storm windows off, put on screens, possibly for older folks that can't do that anymore. Go into a home. Of maybe an elderly person that can't really clean anymore, and just clean and celebrate with them as they do that, and to really find out who our neighbors are, and to be a neighbor. And so that's going to be a celebration. And come back and we'll have a meal. We'll all sit down and tell stories of what happened, and I think it's going to be fun. So just lots of things like that. You got a question,
yeah. Well, that. And then as you were talking, I kind of got, I thought of something else too, because a lot of this, you'll hear a negative person think, okay, well, you can ask that, but, it's another, we haven't had somebody that has made that happen before. But yet you'll say, hey, we need to replace heating units, and we're going to do it within this period of time, and this is how it's going to get done, and it happens. That has to be, I think, because you also make that a challenge to the congregation where they feel like they've accomplished it. So now you can ask them something and that's not impossible. Now it's a reality. Oh, we can do this. Was that important for you to kind of get folks to feel like, yes, I can make a difference. One person can make a difference.
It's important not only to moving the church and organization forward. It's important to everybody, as you said personally. people have, and that's a celebration within.
Yeah.
I seem to be stuck on the word celebration day. But, excuse me, but that's a victory. Better take one of these. That's a victory that stays with that person. That's a victory that stays with that congregation. The pastor got up there, we thought he was crazy. And I've been called that any number of times. I'm either to my face or I'm sure after the sermon at Sunday meals. And I am a little crazy, I'll admit that, because I vision out what can happen if people will only believe in themselves and then therefore they believe as an organization. And once they start to do that, I don't know what the limit is. I've never seen the limit. And it just begins to happen. And people come off the streets and say, we want to be part of this. And that's what's happening. We've gone from about 50 to 60 in worship now to about 120, 130, 140 in worship most Sundays. And my goal for the first of the year, next year, 2025, is to have 250 in worship every Sunday. And I believe we can do it.
I think part of what I was going to ask you was you're talking about these layers and these roadblocks that keep getting placed in front of you, and people are struggling with food prices, gas prices. There's a lot going on in life, depression and all this stuff, and they don't know how to handle that. What's that outlet? It can start just as simple as showing up on a Sunday morning.
Oh my gosh, are you right? They've got to have a place where they can actually relax and know that it's going to be okay. We're going to get out of this, where all the things that you just mentioned are the realities of everybody's life. And you can't deny those. You have to recognize them. But by the same token, you can't allow them, like I said before, to stop your vision. You've got to go someplace where you can catch a vision of something better, of something that's going to help lift your spirit within. And once you do that, and once they feel that, watch out, because things are going to happen. So you're 1,000% right. We've got a lot of things that aren't so good. Our political climate is toxic, and that's a mild word for it.
Yeah.
And it's going to get worse over the next 9 months before we vote, and that affects people. And where do you go to get away from it? It doesn't seem like you can, and the place to do it is on a Sunday morning. I don't care whether it's at First Methodist, is at the Presbyterian Church, is at T-Free, I don't care where it is. Go someplace where you can find a vision, and where you can be loved, and where you can love, and you can do it safely, and become part of a community, become part of a small group, expand yourself into a small group. And allow yourself to be who you should be.
Recap real quick what's going on Saturday, and then service times on Sunday.
Saturday we're having a great celebration. We'll be starting at 9 o'clock. We'll be cutting a ribbon on our new nursery. And boy, is that nursery incredible. And you said real quick, I can't do anything real quickly, but I know you're on a time frame. But anyway, we have pagers and buzzers for mothers, and we're going to celebrate all of those things, and then have a light breakfast following that. Sunday we have our 8:30 contemporary service. We have a fabulous praise band. That's Jerome Alsdorf, is the head of that. He's been at First Methodist for about 16 years, and his band is awesome. I've been in churches 5 times, 6 times, 7 times the size. They don't hold a candle to what Jerome does.
Reverend Tom, we got to stop there. Good to see you. Actually, if you want to see more of them, well, the service from yesterday from the Titusville First Methodist Church coming up next on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel.